Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, however you are. Welcome to this week's episode of the Athletics LLC. Um, we are here for the shenanigans as always. We have some fairly lively topics this week, so maybe we'll be able to entertain you guys. How is everyone doing this afternoon, evening, morning?
Testing went well. All is good out west.
Not you,
Pretty good. I'll
Governor?
say this: for 2 days before Thanksgiving, going pretty good.
Okay, Governor?
Fantabulous.
Fantabulous. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, speaking of fantabulous, NCAA cross country championships were this past weekend, and just want to get everybody's thoughts on the meet, on the results. I'm going to lead this one off a little bit because I was there, and I mean, not one, not two, but as many standing ovations we can give to Vin Lanana and Charlottesville and the farm where the place was held. And it's an incredibly run competition. The course was beautiful. It was challenging, and it was almost 7,000 people there. Watching 7,000 people, weave their way back and forth across the course and not get in anybody's way was pretty impressive. So I just want to give a shout out to them, and I'll let you guys have at it.
I wanted to ask you about that because on the feed, it seemed like a very large crowd. And I've never been to Terre Haute, or however you say it. Would you say that setup and that experience was better?
Yeah, like the two best meets I'd been to before were Terre Haute, and Wisconsin was pretty nice. The 1 year was in Louisville, it was okay, but Terre Haute obviously had it forever and did a great job with it. But this was the best one I've ever been to. Like I've been to where it's been held on the East Coast before, in North Carolina somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to that one as well. But no, what they did this past weekend was phenomenal. I think I was told, I'm not sure these are facts, but I was told that usually they would stop selling tickets at 4,000 people. But they sold over 5,000 this time. And then, of course, there were others that made their way in somehow. So close to 7,000 people. So I guess when you talk about the teams and officials and all that stuff, close to like 6,700 people there at the meet. So it's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive.
Well,
so we have any thoughts on the meet?
I mean, first and foremost, we know you're not going to do this because that's not your way, but standing ovation to Miss Parker Valby. Monster performance. Kind of blew out the field.
Mm-hmm.
And
she was impressive.
Distance is obviously not our typical space here, but a dominating performance when you see one. And given the field and who all was in it, that was wildly impressive to me. That was my biggest takeaway, the most, entertaining part of that for me. And then for the second thing was how close, nail biter close, the championship was on the other side, which, obviously NAU were big favorites coming in, and for them to get one pointed is a crazy competition. And, if you're not a fan of cross country, I think a lot of people would understand why, because on a general sense, it can be pretty boring, but at the elite level, it's not. It's very, very entertaining, and watching it on television was pretty dope.
Yeah. Congrats to the Gators. Congrats to you, Sir Lucius.
Thank you.
Fantastic performance by Parker. And there was a lot of what ifs from this meet. What if you're number 3 or number 2?
3.
Number 3. If she doesn't go down, NC State, same thing. Their number 2 goes down. Cross country is one of those meets where you got to have it right on the day, right? If you're going to win a team title Everything has to be clicking. Everybody has to be in sync. But, fantastic performance. It looked like a really good day to be out there watching the meet. Nail biter, 123 points to 124.
Right, like it's crazy.
Yeah, NC State, congrats. First, third program in history to win 3 consecutive cross-country titles. Stanford was the last to do it. But yeah, definitely on the women's side, an unbelievable competition.
Ah, man. Very, very seldom do you see a collegiate performance where it looks like there's like an adult running or playing with children. And it just doesn't happen that often, right? I mean, because they're all in college. But, Parker's a front runner, and she just kind of like massaged her way to the front pack at a K, and then decided that was enough playing with others and just left. And you do math, it's 6K, and she ran like what 30 something per K, right? On average, something like that, right? It was she ran 18:55, so it was my 309. Am I doing math right? That's
Publicly, we never know.
That's insane, right? That's insane. And to have the first K be under 3 minutes because of the huge downhill and not really seem to be fazed by it. To have the last K have the gigantic hill in it like to finish, and also not really seem to be fazed by it. Like, that was super impressive. But honestly, I gotta say this, like, for NC State's young ladies to toe the line knowing that their number 2 is standing there in crutches, and to have one not finish and be and win by a point, like, that was impressive.
Yeah,
that was the whole next man, next woman up, like, that's it right there, right? That's your clinic on next person up. So that was awesome.
Mm-hmm. But I think the big thing too is you have to take into account Caitlin was sick, and I think that we have all seen her not run as well. I think she's been a little banged up in some ways, and she had fallen back to like 8th place with like 800 to go. And watching her fight her way back up into the top 5, knowing her team, needed her, was very impressive. And like you said, when you go to the line and your number 2 girl, who was like, wasn't she like second in the team scoring last year?
Mm-hmm.
She's there, but she's on crutches. I mean, it was just an impressive performance by a championship team that, man, they got it done when it counted the most. And on the men's side, Oklahoma State just didn't play fair. That was wow.
Wow. That looked like men running with boys. Like, we're gonna go for a run, and you guys count up the points later.
Well, it's the group. It's the group effect, right? As Parker was individually, Oklahoma State men destroyed the field.
Yeah, 5 guys in the top 15.
Destroyed the field.
Yeah, but also we got to give a shout out. Forgive me for not remembering his name at this point, but the young man from Harvard, first Ivy League winner.
Yeah,
and
Graham Blanks.
Mr. Blanks, and that's Alex Gibby, right? Doing his thing again.
Yeah.
Right? So
who had that on their dope sheet?
Yeah,
Harvard, the NCAA champion.
I had him at second.
Okay.
I actually
here's the impressive thing is like and that's the other thing too. Like, there was this talk about NAU being one of the best teams in history, right? And they just got taken to this. You score 71 points to the NCAA championships, you usually win by a landslide.
Mm-hmm.
And they got punished by 32 points.
Yeah.
Or 22 points. So yeah.
And you gotta, it's the runner-up, getting 2 runner-up trophies. That's nothing to sneeze at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's still it's a hell of a weekend.
It's one of those things where it's like, it's a phenomenal accomplishment, right? Only Northern Arizona as a unit, men and women, did that well, right? So the best program was Northern Arizona,
Mhm.
but you know they're pissed off going home with 2 silver.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
that's it's hard.
And they have nothing to hang their heads about. They just got beat by,
Right.
2 very well coached teams who had, I mean, Dave Smith, that was masterful. I've
Yeah.
never, I've seen some great cross country teams, and especially in that meet. But watching that unfold, I mean, because they were there at like 5K, they were in the top 15, and they just never went away. People kept waiting for them to fade, and they're like, no, it's not happening. So that was very impressive. And Gibby and his guys from Harvard were phenomenal as well. I think it was like just after a K to go, he just took off like, I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out.
What are your thoughts, Sir Lucius, on Florida, Tennessee, Alabama? Finishing in 5th, 6th, and 7th.
Yeah,
I mean, is that a sign?
Arkansas is ninth, right?
Yep.
So you have 4 teams from the SEC in the top 9, which is not typical. There was a point in the race where the SEC and the individuals were 1, 2, 3.
Oh,
And
wow.
John Anderson made the point was like, I'm watching across country, but this isn't the 100 to 200 or the 4x4, right? This is, it's not normal. But I think when you look at the people that are directing those programs, I mean, Tennessee clearly has, they're getting after it across country.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Arkansas has been there. Alabama was what they think they were 3rd or 4th last year.
Yeah.
And obviously, we've put a premium on distance running here lately as well. So I don't see any of those schools going away. I think it's something. And I think that somebody else was, Ole Miss was 21st, right? So yeah, it was a great showing by the SEC women. The men got some work to do, but
to that point,
but Arkansas was 4th. So shout out to Chris Buckner.
Arkansas was 4th.
They're 4th.
Yeah.
Got on the podium.
On the men's side, to the what I would call the second level of that, something that I found quite impressive. From my mid-major chair, right? BYU is always BYU, right? They finished 3rd, but Princeton 11th, Air Force 12th, Montana State 13th, Harvard 15th, and California Baptist University 16th. Like,
is the guy that used to be at Ole Miss? Is that where he's at? Is he at Cal Baptist, or is that somebody else?
No. Ryan is at Cal Poly SLO.
Yeah, okay.
Slow.
Well, look for them to make a jump, because that young man can coach.
Yeah.
He can get it done. So yeah, no, it's just impressive performances all, and it just the atmosphere was electric. It was just from the moment you walked in there, it was professional. The parking was set up. Everything was done the right way. So shout out to Vinland and his staff and the NCAA and everything that they did to make it run smoothly, because it was impressive. And I shout out to the winners as well. Okay, so let's talk the Heisman Trophy a little bit, but let's specifically talk about Jayden Daniels. After what we've seen him do over the last 3 to 4 weeks, do we view him as the Heisman front runner now? Speak your mind.
I think he deserves to be in New York. He's had a phenomenal season. He's putting up crazy numbers, but I think for my money right now, it's Bo Nix. And
but his numbers are better than Nix, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
His numbers are better, but Bo Nix is leading a better team in a tougher conference and is going to probably make the Final Four. And so, typically, when you're playing for a national title, that is the type of stuff that gives you the little extra boost that you need, a la Baker Mayfield in the year that he won it, right? Like, if LSU had one fewer loss, he'd probably be the front runner, but they don't.
I will remind you that Tim Tebow won it, and it was with 3 losses.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's impossible.
I'm not saying it's impossible, to the numbers. Sir. I'm not saying you are. I'm just. Can we not? This is not an argument. I'm just giving you facts. I'm not saying it's impossible. All I'm saying to you is that it's happened, and the young man has had. I mean, regardless of how well his team is playing, in my opinion, he is, over the last 3 or 4 weeks, especially, he has been the best player in America, and it's not close. Not even close. The man had almost 600 yards against Florida a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did.
Regardless of how bad our defense is, he's still 600 yards.
And it is.
Yeah, regardless of
So-
see,
I just
don't throw darts at my Gators.
I have to ask though. I can't understand how you can say it's not close. Bo Nix threw for 409 yards in the first half this week.
and 6 touchdowns.
Okay, I said over the last 3 to 4 weeks. I'm
I
talking
know,
about
but I'm
last
saying
week.
he-
I'm talking about over the last 4 weeks. So Jayden had almost over 600 yards 2 weeks ago.
In a whole game.
Okay. Exactly. Okay, so you're talking about one half of football, sir. I'm talking about.
But
Okay,
I'm
look,
not talking about one. I'm saying I'm just
okay,
giving
hold
you
on
an
a second.
example
Okay,
of
you
why
okay,
you
and
can't
I'm
tell
giving
me
you
it's
an
not
example.
close.
Okay, in my mind, it's not close. Yours is. It's not mine. And mine is not.
Well,
No, actually, in my mind, it's not close because I think Bo Nix is
I just
half
said
of his
in your
name is
mind.
on the trophy.
I will
Yeah.
say this. I will give
I
you
disagree.
this, Mr. Lucius. Mr. Daniels has, and I'm not trying to be funny, I'll phrase it 2 ways. He has an East Coast bias working for him, and he has the SEC bias working for him. That's a well-documented thing over years. If Bo Nix can get through this weekend head-to-head with Oregon State and then win the Pac-12 championship, I think the trophy's his. Jayden Daniels isn't playing games that matter at this point.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I get it. He's been phenomenal, but he definitely has an advantage playing where he's playing and being on the east side of the country. He's going to have a whole bunch of votes. But for me, full context, it's Bo Nix.
So would you like to know what the odds are right now?
Would
Yes.
love to hear the odds,
So
sir.
Jayden Daniels, his odds are minus 130 right now. Bo Nix is plus 140. And Michael Penix Jr. is plus 500. So the odds makers have flipped from last week where Bo Nix was clearly leading. Jayden Daniels is now leading the charge based on the bettors.
The odds, the bettors.
Las Vegas, based on Vegas.
Yeah.
Based on
Right.
Vegas.
And again, I mean, I don't say any of this to belittle anything that Bo Nix has done. I've actually liked Bo Nix. I mean, I love the story where he was an average quarterback at Auburn,
Mm-hmm.
and now he's a superstar in another league. But the league's supposed to be tougher, but I won't go there.
Oh boy.
And then
Far better quarterback play.
Exactly. Yeah, so if he's better in that Pac-12 than he was in the SEC. That's all I said. But it's a great story. I think what Michael Penix is doing, I think that you talk about a guy that make a charge over the next couple of weeks, it could be him. He wins out, and then he meets Oregon in the Pac-12 championship and puts up big numbers. Obviously, that could flip the whole thing. But what Jayden Daniels is doing is capturing the imagination of a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the way he's doing it. He's not just throwing; he's running. He's like last week, he's responsible for like 8 touchdowns, something crazy, right? The numbers are just astronomical, and it's going to be hard to beat him, I think. Anyway, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay, so let's talk NFL. There's several surprising teams in the league this year: the Browns, the Jaguars, the Dolphins, and the Lions may be the biggest surprise. Do we think that any of these teams are serious contenders to get to the playoffs and do well, or are they all pretenders?
Rephrase the end of that again.
Rephrase it?
I mean, say the end of that again.
Do we think that any of these teams are serious contenders to get to the playoffs and do well, or are they all pretenders?
And you named the Lions,
the Browns, the Jaguars,
Browns.
Dolphins, and the Lions. There may be other people that you might want to talk about, but those are the big 4 that I can think of.
All of those teams, with
I
the
think you got to put
exception,
the Texans in there, right?
Yes, you have to
sure,
put
the Texans in there. All of
But
those
I
teams,
got
with
you.
the exception of Cleveland, I would say are likely to make the playoffs. I don't know what do well in the playoffs means. Typically,
Whatever it means to you.
sure. So I think all of that is in context, right? The Lions, for example, if the Lions make the playoffs, that in itself is impressive.
Not if they're going to win their division.
Right.
They're
for
8-2, right?
No, for sure. But what I'm
Yeah.
saying is, given who the Lions have historically been, if and when the Lions make the playoffs, that in itself is a major success.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they win a game or not. I would call them pretenders in the sense that they can't beat the 49ers and they can't beat Philly, So they're pretenders as far as going to the show, but making the playoffs and beating somebody, I could totally see them doing stuff like that. It's on the flip side, not to pick on, the governor. If the Cowboys make the playoffs, like you're supposed to.
All right.
Yeah,
All right.
no, they're not on the list.
No, but this is the issue. The Jaguars, the Jaguars.
Talk about the Jaguars. Leave the Cowboys alone.
The Jaguars made the playoffs last year and beat the Chargers in round 1. So them making the playoffs isn't good enough anymore. They're at a place where if they're not advancing to the AFC title game, it's a disappointment. So I think everything's in context. If Houston makes the playoffs, throw a party. If the Browns make the playoffs, throw a party, right? Like everything.
The Browns were in the playoffs and almost in the championship game 2 years ago.
Who?
The Browns.
Yeah, flukes happen. I'm not worried about the Browns.
Well, then you can't throw a party. We just had a party 2 years ago. So
no, throw the party.
Come on.
DTR is your QB right now. Throw the party.
I don't care. I don't care who the QB is. We're not throwing a party. We were just there. No.
They could write a book on what the Browns have already been through.
Exactly right.
I'll say that.
And they're 7-3.
And they're
the Browns don't deserve to make the playoffs. How about
the Tigers?
Wow.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Based on what?
if the Texans make the playoffs, D'Amico Ryans is not the NFL Coach of the Year. He's the NFL Coach of the decade.
It's insane. Absolutely insane what he's doing right now. Mm-hmm. This is not supposed to happen this fast.
You can't. I mean, look, obviously they hit right on the quarterback, right?
Absolutely.
But it ain't just him.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like there is a culture and a belief that they can win games that they got no right beat. They got no right winning these games based on history.
Couldn't you say the same thing about the Lions?
Yeah, you could.
No, yeah, but based on how the Lions finished the season last year.
What was their finishing record? What was their overall record last year?
The Texans had
just above 500 last year. It was just above 500.
And not just that, the Lions have like a veteran quarterback who's been through hell and high water, right? He's actually been to the Super Bowl.
Into the Super Bowl.
Right?
Everybody hates on that.
My question was not about all that. My question was about the turnaround. Because we've had other teams get good quarterbacks and not do well.
No,
you just can't just based on the fact they haven't had a chance.
The answer your question is, I don't think like serious contender is an interesting like flip to the end of the question. I think the Texans are the best story of the year. I think the Lions are the most improved team that has a playoff pedigree. I just don't see. I mean, I think they can beat everybody in the NFC except the team that matters. I do not think that they can beat the Eagles.
But if they get to the championship, then they're
I'd be super duper impressed. If they get to the Final Four, I'd be like throw a party for real in Detroit.
No, and that's my issue. They'll make the playoffs, but in order to make the Final Four, they will have to beat either the Eagles or the 49ers, and that ain't gonna happen.
Why do they have to beat one of them to make the Final Four if they win their division?
Because the way the playoff structure goes, you can't make the Final Four without playing one of those two teams. The way it's
Final Four as you talking about the Final Four as in being in the championship game or the Final Four with the
AFC NFC championship. They cannot get to that game without playing one of those teams.
All right. Right. So you said to get to the championship. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just the way you worded it didn't sound right, but I got you now.
So if I had to like narrow it down, right? Like down to what kind of success? I'm looking at it like this. I think the Jaguars are pretenders. I think the Texans are not there yet.
No, they're not.
I think the Lions will win at least one game in the playoffs.
Sure.
I think the Dolphins will go pretty far. I think they'll win more than one game in the playoffs.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I do. And I think the Browns will win more than one game in the playoffs too.
Their defense is out of control.
There's something that's being there's pixie dust. I don't know what it is, but
okay.
It's pretty phenomenal.
No, I'm in the spirit of that. I will throw some interesting goings on in the NFL to y'all. Mike Tomlin is doing Mike Tomlin things, somehow keeping the Steelers afloat with nothing.
Right.
They just did something very, very necessary and overdue. They fired their offensive coordinator.
At Canada, yes.
If the Steelers start playing professional offense as a minimum standard, they are a very dangerous team. On the flip side of that, on the other end, there was another offensive coordinator firing up in upstate New York, in Buffalo. And all of a sudden, Josh Allen looks like who he's supposed to be. It was only 1 week. But if Joe Brady can get Buffalo to start playing offense the way they're capable, I think Buffalo knocks Miami out relatively easily.
So we're not going to get into all that. That's the topic.
It's a Miami thing. He mentioned Miami.
Right.
Miami is Miami's
his opinion
flashy.
is that Miami is going to win a game or two.
Yeah, Miami's flashy, but
because they can win a game and then get Buffalo in the second game. You never know. The problem you have with Miami is that they play enough defense to stay relevant, and when they're clicking on all cylinders, they can beat anybody in the league because they're just faster than everybody else.
Yep.
They are what Kansas City used to be when it comes to the speed of the offense right there. You know, so.
And one more might make the playoffs story that's going on that I think a lot of people are sleeping on. Denver might make the playoffs.
We'll see.
Denver might make the playoffs.
They're 5-5.
Huh?
5-5.
No. Oh, they're one above that now. Or are they even at 5-5?
I don't know.
Either way, right now they are mathematically alive for the playoffs and on a winning streak.
They're alive. I'm not putting.
They're on a winning streak.
They're second. They're second in the division to the Chiefs at 5-5.
There you go.
Right.
A 5-game winning streak?
No.
4.
Maybe 4. Yeah.
So they've got the Browns, the Texans, the Chargers, the Lions.
So just right there, the Browns, the Texans, and the Chargers, all the teams that they would need to beat to make the playoffs.
Yep.
Yeah. But then also those teams need to beat them to make the playoffs. So
Exactly.
It's the same narrative, right? So it'll be interesting to see. All right, so let's talk training groups. Okay. We've all witnessed some great training groups over the years. Speed City, Santa Monica Track Club, HSI, Racers, MVPs, the MVP Club down in Jamaica. What do we feel are important components of a great training group? Coaching, location, talent, training partners,
personality management.
Okay.
Personality management.
So let's just do one at a time. Like everybody go with one. I'm going to pick coaching. I think coaching is the most important thing.
Okay. So I want to say this. Okay. So, and we're talking about, so let's turn it a little bit to successful training groups, because there's a lot of big training groups out there even now. But when you look at the overall success of said training groups in comparison to some of the ones we just named, it kind of wanes in comparison, I think, anyway. Right. So what's the difference? Like, we've got some training groups that have 1 or 2 people doing well. But when you look back on, Santa Monica was on fire. HSI was on fire. Right. The Racers and MVP have done some kind of sick things over the last few years, right? So, what's the difference between what was going on then and what's going on with some of the large training groups now where there's only 1 or 2 people performing? Is it the coaching, as not you said?
Absolutely coaching, but I also believe culture.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly believe, and having been a part of a massive training group, what kept us, in the mix was that, and Sir Lucius, you can attest to this too. When you have a big group like that, the coach cannot necessarily attend to every single detail for there's not enough hours in the day. So within the group are the members of the group holding each other accountable for the things, the little things the general
Mhm.
strength, the stuff after you fit the cool down, you
The
know.
cool down. Say that again. The cool down.
Okay,
The
those are
cold
things
tank,
that
Yes.
the after practice stretching, the after practice,
exactly, the weight room, the
treatment.
rolling out.
Exactly. Yes.
Those are the components, in my opinion, because those are the things that make they're little, but they make a massive difference because you
Mhm.
have the time. You know,
Right.
when you tell a young athlete, a collegiate athlete, that the average professional from when they start to when they finish is somewhere between 4 and 5 hours, because it's not over once the workout's done,
Mm-mm.
right? Whether it's
And the workout starts when you wake up in the bed, out of the bed.
exactly,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
So whether it's cryo, whether you have you've got to go somewhere else to do weights, whether it's, you have to see your therapist, all of that stuff.
So,
It's a
so the word that
choice.
I'm going to associate all that is planning.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
And I think the choice and commitment.
Exactly.
Right. See,
So,
and I think that that's something that gets lost on this. And see, I witnessed a little bit of your training. It was smaller when you guys came here, but it was
yes.
still wasn't huge, but it was big,
Yep.
right? I know that I can't even see what his name is. I'm gonna keep calling him Not Chew.
It says
Uh,
eat to win,
but
not to dominate.
yeah, and so yeah, Not Chew was. I know you spent time around Kareem's group. I mean, the governor's group. I know you and KOP both spent time around HSI, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you guys have seen the best
Yes.
And
ever, right?
that's
And
why I'm specifically talking about personality management. And what I mean by that is at that level,
mm-hmm.
if you have a group of that many talents and that level of talents where everybody is legitimately fighting for medals,
Right.
the coach, aka the puppet master, has to be able to not just show up and give the workouts, right? It's a very specific personality managing skill. It's psychology.
Yep.
It's to the governor's point, it's the little things, because the workouts are the workouts, right?
Yep.
That's your job. Like, you're supposed to know that.
Right.
And if you ask what's the biggest difference between the big and wildly successful training groups of the past and what we sometimes see today, where it's stockpiling with few successes, like big successes, but few, right?
Mm-hmm.
One or two in the group is elite, doing elite things, and there's 15, 20 others out there not. I think it's that puppet master skill. It's that personality management skill. And it's not like there weren't dramatic moments or fights or days where things would pop off amongst those HSI days. I watched them, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, John had the ability to just pull the strings that needed to be pulled at the right moments and make decisions that worked on and off the track.
Yep.
And he kept that thing together and rolling for a very, very long time. I mean, they dominated the game for a time period. Not just the track, the business.
I think the key to all that, and we're all kind of beating around it, saying it, right? Like, in order for this to work, the coach, and in some cases there've been more than one coach, but the coach has to be the alpha of the group.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Oh,
like the coach has to be the one that stirs the drink. The coach has to be the one that says, practice is here, you're gonna do this, you're late, be gone, like all those things, and everybody's got to be willing to accept what comes out of the coach's mouth.
Right.
Even though he or she is the employee.
Yeah.
Sure,
I mean,
no question.
Yeah,
Right, but that's why they're
he or
respected.
she is the employee, but you're paying he or she to do the job.
right.
So therefore, that's where the commitment piece comes in. Because
Yeah.
if you're going to pay me to do a job, you got to allow me to do my job.
And,
Right.
and Sir Lucius can speak to this. You could have 3 or 4 athletes doing the same workout with 3 or 4 different agendas
Absolutely.
in that same workout. And that's the part that is often missed. It's not what's on the paper. It's not just about what's on the piece of paper. Okay. That coach has already sussed out who is strong in which area. they already know, the coach already knows, all right, we're doing 6 reps. This athlete is going to take off like a bat out of hell because he has no idea how to pace himself, right? So what am I going to get? What am I going to extrapolate out of that kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then I got the kid that's going to lay back and just let things happen and just wait till he comes around and say, remember me? I'm right here, right? So you're having all these different conversations, but you come to the end of the session and everybody has gotten something out of it.
Right.
And that's where you're taking ego out the door, right? And you are saying, all right, I need to get something out of these guys. And
right.
every one of them is wired different.
And that is, I think, what Clyde was speaking to, is the ability to have everybody walk away feeling like they had success.
Yes.
That's huge. And see, if
Absolutely.
anybody that knows John Smith, like, you've heard people say John talks as if he's in a movie, if he's acting. Well, a lot of it is an act for John, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I can promise you, those of us who know JS, it was choreographed, right? Is everything that he did was choreographed because he knows his athletes well. He gets in their heads. And I think that that's something that we're struggling with here in America right now. You know, like Clyde said, there's large groups that have 1 or 2 people doing well, and then the rest of them are just kind of not existing anymore.
Right.
So we have to point to the leadership. We have to point to maybe the commitment of the athletes. I think a big part of it too is the athletes are getting paid a whole lot more money right up front, and we've beat that horse to death on here before, right? You know, so where's the motivation to do that? But I think that, you know, when we talk about training groups, I think I know that not you and I've had this discussion a million times. Like, having a bunch of talented people in the same spot does not guarantee success. We had this discussion last week, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You know? Yeah. And so, like, just, you know, we've seen a lot of posts of people, these big groups and all these pictures, and okay, but are you going to be successful because of the personalities within the group don't mesh? And as Clyde said, if you don't have the puppet master, so to speak, the person that can mesh the personalities, people are going to suffer. And the one thing you cannot do as a leader of a group that size is you cannot play favorites. Even if you do, you better not let everybody else figure it out.
Yeah.
Because if you
that's
cater
implodes.
to the 1 or 2, then it's just it's going to implode. Right? It is.
Yeah.
That's not going to be cute at all.
Setting the tone on each day. I mean, oh my gosh. Like those things are, I mean, it's a skill, it's an art form, you know, like we're getting close to you know, to the big dance, right? Hey, where we at? Like, I need this out of you today.
Mm-hmm.
Right? No questions asked. Let's do this. Like, you've got to be able to flip the switch, and you've got to be able to push those buttons and get what you need.
You talk about flipping the switch, energy.
Yes.
Right. There's sometimes when, as the leader, you have to be the energy for that day.
Right.
You know, you guys are all athletes, and you look at the workout sheet, you're like, this dude's tripping today. I don't want to do this. Right. So then you got to come in and be like, hey, I know you think I'm tripping today. You got to get this done. Right. You know, I mean, I know that not you is like, I'm 1,500 meter workout. This dude's crazy. You know, I want to look. Let me go over here and throw the javelin and the discus. Let me go run some fly 60s, right?
Every time I come out with any workout of that nature, like I can hear it from, like, when I first get to the parking lot. Oh, I see Coach chose violence today. Like, nope. You know, it takes breaking of eggs to make omelets. I say it all the time.
Man.
So there's a lot of great components that go into it, man. I think that, you know, it'd be interesting to see how, you know, it's the Olympic year and things get crazy in the Olympic year and everybody raises their level of excellence. I know everybody on the screen is doing that this year already. And it'll be interesting to see how the big professional groups around the world, you know, handle that pressure and what they do, because there's a lot of talented groups and there's only so many spots out there for people to take.
Exactly.
And so it'll be interesting to see.
You know, one of the components you added, you mentioned in there that we didn't really talk about, but weather probably is a factor, because if you really think about it, outside of the distances, there really aren't any groups of people clustered together someplace where it's cold.
Right.
Not at that level. right? Pretty
Right.
much everybody tries to go someplace where we can be. I mean, we do an outdoor sport, and they're trying to be outside as often as possible.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I mean, just
So
historically.
facilities is important as well. Yeah.
Sure, facilities are
Right.
absolutely
And
important.
so if you're in California or Florida, the facilities that you have access to are important, but less important because there ain't no snow component or no crazy stuff. Like if you're in Texas, you better have some indoor space at some point for the most part. But that's where everybody is, right? It's California, Florida, and Texas. No one would establish a professional sprint group in Ohio. It just wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, wouldn't be if they did, they're delusional. I mean, if you just a great example is Tokyo Olympic final. 7 of 8 guys in that final train in the state of Florida in different camps. Yeah, scary, very scary. Okay, anything else you guys want to add to that? Yeah, so I'm gonna throw a random at you. Just quickly, Governor. No pondering for 3 minutes. It's a question for everybody. Give me one men's event and one women's event you're excited to watch at this year's NCAA Indoor Championships.
I'm excited to watch what Jayden Hibbert does in the men's triple. I mean,
you saw the video, didn't you?
I
the
did.
video.
I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
So not an event
Travis,
per se, more of a person.
Yeah, 'cause he and Travis are up to something big, folks.
Yeah.
Okay.
As far as a woman, you said woman and man?
Yeah, one men's, one women's.
Okay. I'm curious to see who steps up in the women's 60 in 24.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
I
See,
mean,
you don't have to ponder to give a great answer.
No.
I just have to pick the right subjects, right?
Yes, absolutely. All
right, KOP, what you got? One men's, one women's that you're looking forward to.
I am very, very interested in how the women's triple jump, which was by far the best competition last year, fills the void left with Jasmine graduating on to greener pastures. And since we had a person in that event, that's a little selfish on my part. So
that's fair. That's it.
You know what I mean?
That's fair. Yeah.
On the men's side, for a different reason, I'm very, very interested in the sprint hurdles because since the exit of Grant and then Trey, there isn't a star that I can point to there, right?
There's some normalcy there now.
Right. And maybe a star will develop, but it's not, the star power has been missing, but it's still been pretty damn good. So
it's been very competitive, yeah.
Right. So I don't know who's in. I don't know who's going to
who would you view as a favorite?
There literally isn't one for me right now, especially indoors. Okay. Indoors is so random and can turn so quickly. I expect coaches. You know what I mean? Like I expect Lennox to have somebody in the final because Lennox always got somebody in the final, right?
Right.
Situations like that.
Okay.
So hold on. I'm being attacked by a naked baby. Hold on.
No.
Okay.
Start. No. You can't have the penis on camera. You can't.
All right, not you. What you have for us?
Well, he stole my women's triple jump, so luckily I was sort of prepared for that. I'm going to say the women's 60 hurdles because the splash and dash is always amazing to watch. But there's some interesting storylines, some returns of some people, and 2 all-time superstars now gone. I think it's going to be interesting.
The 2 fastest women in history.
Yeah. On the men's side, I have one question. Have the 2 young men from Arkansas, are they still in college in the long jump?
Just one of them.
One of them.
All right, then I don't need to watch that.
But see, but they kind of reloaded behind him though, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they got some good transfers.
I got it.
But they're still not Kerry McLeod yet, right?
And since the governor took my one-man show to watch, I'm going to pick the other one-man show. I want to watch Leo and see what he does now that he's
Leo
like,
is coming back?
yes. Yes. So
Wow.
so the 8,800 point decathlete is going back to college to hang out with the kids. So I want to see what that looks like.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
How competent of a competitor is he indoors in the
Well,
hip?
so it's so hard to tell, right? He was third, but he's third behind the two best collegians ever,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like he was third behind.
So what are you expecting of him this year?
I mean, I think he's going to score 6,500 indoors. I mean,
Okay.
I would
And
think
what's the record?
66. It's the record is less than 1 second under the world record.
Mm.
So
Okay.
I would expect him to score. But if he scores 65, right, then he's on, like, because of what certain things he can do outside. If he scores 65, he's probably on pace to score 88 again.
Okay. All right. So now one more. Give me one men's and one women's collegiate record you think might fall. No guarantees. Might
Men's
fall
triple jump.
indoors.
Men's triple jump.
No, taking that one off the no cheating. That's cheating. No.
Men's
Other than the men's triple jump.
men's heptathlon.
Oh, I'm not picking that one.
That's a tougher one.
That's
That
a tough
one's-
one. I know.
That one's
Because of the events, it's not as easy for Leo to get that done indoors. But he's clearly the favorite.
Mm-hmm.
One men's and one women's record you think might fall.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna take the low hanging fruit. I'm gonna say the men's 4x4, and what, that doesn't count?
I'm nothing. I'm sorry.
I mean, I think that's always one that might fall.
Okay.
Like, right? I mean,
You know how fast it is?
I know it doesn't matter. Given some, okay, let me put it this way. In my opinion, right? I know outdoors and indoors don't necessarily mean the same thing, but if two teams ran 257 outdoors last year, and one of those teams completely reloaded and the other team is pretty much intact and added a piece, like I gotta believe that I think that the indoor record might fall. But I know, look, again, I didn't say it's going to. Oh,
Okay.
God, on the women's side, I'm gonna pick the women's 60 hurdles.
Mm.
Okay. All righty. So, Governor, what do you have?
What is the 60-meter record for men?
45, maybe. 40. So it's 40 low.
Is Terrence Jones back?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm curious to see that because he tied it, did he not?
Yeah, he's coming. He might either tied it, but that was the one they thought he caught a flyer. So.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And remember, he's got to do it by what? By 200ths at home,
Yes.
right? Because it gets rounded back.
That's true.
No. The record's a record. They don't round anything back for record purposes.
Oh,
That's
so
for
they
qualifying
just
purposes.
okay, just for qualifying. Okay.
Yeah.
As far as women are concerned, I mean that's tough. There's some major big timers that have moved on. Boy, I can't think of any on the women's
Okay.
side. I can't.
Okay. KOP, you got any choices here? You're muted, sir. You still can't hear you.
I think I missed the question. What was it?
Okay. The question is, pick one men's and one women's indoor collegiate record that'll fall this year. It could possibly fall.
The men's 4x4.
That's what eat to win. Eat to win.
Men's 4x4. What events is Miss Valby running indoors?
That's not yet to be determined.
Well, whichever one that will be.
right.
That's fair. All right, so on to the questions for Eat to Win. Not Chew. I'm not calling you Eat to Win. Not Chew. You're not Chew for the rest of your life, sir.
Oh, awesome.
Okay. Ready?
Yes.
What movie would you say resembles your life the most?
Pursuit of Happiness.
Oh, look at
Okay.
you. Impressive.
Right.
Are you a morning or a night person?
Dear God, I am the quintessential night person.
Okay.
Right here with you.
What coach or coaches influenced you the most, have influenced you the most in your coaching style?
Really? I mean, Jackson, my son is 11 and he can answer that question. You want me to have him come in here and say Uncle Mouse?
Nope, I do not.
Okay.
See, you're not playing fair.
I am playing fair. I can't believe you asked me
okay,
that question.
then just answer the question. Okay. Was it Jackson's
Michael
not answering
Dwayne
the question?
Holloway.
There you go. And you're immediately no. What superpowers did you wish you had as a kid?
Oh, I kind of been obsessed with this since the beginning. Like I wanted to be Wolverine. Like I wanted the ability to withstand all sorts of. I wanted to be able to heal real fast and have adamantium skeleton and have claws, so that my berserker rages would end the way I wanted them to end.
Okay. Tell us something about you that others would consider weird.
Buddy, how much time do we have?
10 seconds.
I have random fits of OCD.
Okay.
Unfortunately,
What do you
all three of you have seen this at one point in time or another.
What do you feel is your greatest accomplishment to date?
Raising healthy children that other people think are awesome.
If they made a movie about your life, who would you choose to direct it and why?
Oh man. I probably would pick Martin Scorsese because the movie of my life is an overall positive story, but it's got some drama and it's definitely got some violence. So we're gonna pick the guy that's good in all of those genres.
Okay. Would you rather be the head of world athletics or the president of a country?
I'd probably rather be the head of world athletics because I could actually get things done. Like I think it's just such a gigantic misnomer that the presidents of countries get things done because they're not. No country's run by one person.
Okay. Do you have a bucket list?
Of what? Yes, but like a thing. No, I'm asking like athletic accomplishments, coaching accomplishments.
Okay, hold on. Okay, it's your bucket list, man.
Well, yes.
Do you have a bucket list? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Have you crossed anything off of it lately?
Yes, one big one.
And it was
to be on a very short list of people who have earned a medal and coached a medalist.
How easy that was?
It wasn't actually easy.
Yeah, it was. Tell us one thing you remember your mom always said to you when you were growing up.
Oh, that's probably pretty easy. Don't make me have to come up to them people's school because you won't shut up in class. Her exact words.
Okay, now this one is for the governor, and you. Who was your favorite track and field athlete growing up? Governor, you get it first.
Carl Lewis.
Okay. Not you?
Jesse Owens.
All right. Great job. That was very painful. Painless, I should say. Painless.
Always is.
But I don't get to answer that one.
No, because
Nope.
you will just next week for you, sir.
We don't
Next week.
let super light skinned people answer the question.
Dang.
Well, you get to answer it next week. It'll be on your list next week. If you can wait a week,
It's
that
super
gives you a
light.
whole
I
week
feel
of
left
time.
out.
Okay. You won't feel left out next week. I promise you. I promise. and you're muted again. All right. Anyway, that will wrap it up for this week's LLC. Hope everybody enjoyed the episode. Hope everybody has had a great 7 days leading up to this, and have another great day. A great 7 days leading up to our next episode. Want to wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving. Take a few moments to think about all the many things that you have to be thankful for, and a minute of what you're going to understand that somebody's got it worse out there, and just keep fighting through it. You're going to be all right. With that, everybody have a great week. We'll holler at you in 7 days.